All right, Algebra 1A students, welcome to part 1 of lesson 2.5, where we're going to be dealing with equations that have two variables in them. Not just one anymore, but two variables, and we're still going to have to isolate or solve an equation for a variable, even though there's other variables as well. Okay, so in this section, we're going to have to solve an equation for a variable when there are other variables in there. For example, 4 equals 2m minus 5n. This equation has an m right here, and it has an n right here. And what they want us to do is solve this equation for m. When they say solve the equation for m, that means get m by itself. Get m alone. Okay, that's what we want to do. We want to get m alone here. Okay, get m alone. So just like we would if we just had an x, I'm going to rewrite this equation. 4 equals 2m minus 5n. And the first thing that I need to do is get rid of whatever is being added or subtracted onto the 2m, or onto the m, right? Because the m is being multiplied by 2 right here, being multiplied by 2, and then it's being subtracted by this 5n piece. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get rid of the minus 5n by adding 5n on both sides, because the opposite of minus 5n, or the opposite of a positive 5n, the opposite of a negative 5n is plus 5n. So I cancel out the 5n because it was minus by adding it, and then I add it on the other side as well. Okay, the thing that we have to be very careful of here is that this side of the equation, this 4 right here, does not have an n, so we don't get to add it onto the 5n. Okay, we don't get to add those two together. We can't because they are not like terms, so we just say 4 plus 5n. That's what I have on the left side now. The right side now just says 2m, and I'm well on my way to isolating or getting the m all by itself. The only other thing I have to do is get rid of the 2 that's currently being multiplied onto the m, and I'll do that by dividing by 2. Now when I divide by 2, I have to make sure I divide the other side as well by 2. So now this side just has m like I want, m. And the other side, the key is I have to make sure I divide both pieces by 2. Both of the numbers in front of, or in these terms, by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Plus 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. And the 5 had an n on it, so the 2.5 will also have an n on it. Okay? So my final answer here is m equals 2 plus 2.5n. Okay, 2 plus 2.5n. I now have the m all by itself just like I wanted, and I undid it just like I would normally. The problem is I can't make it one nice answer because there's still this pesky n involved right there, which is messing everything up. But I'm done here. 2 plus 2.5n, I'm finished. Okay? Now the only other part of this question says, what are the values of m when n equals negative 2, when n equals 0, and when n equals 2? So what I do is I take each of those numbers and I put them in for n. I plug them in right here, in for n. Okay? So I take a negative 2 and I plug it in for n. What do I get? Well, I get, move that down a little bit. I get 2 plus, well, what's 2.5 times negative 2? Well, 2.5 times negative 2, if we do that on our calculator, will give us negative 5. So 2 plus negative 5 is what equals m, right? 2 plus negative 5. 2 plus negative 5, of course, is 3. Negative 3. So I know that negative 3 is my m value, my value for m, when n is negative 2. Okay? I can do the same thing with a 0. I'll just take and replace this negative 2 with a 0. Put the 0 up in there for n. And now my equation is going to say 2 plus 2.5 times 0. Anything times 0 is always 0. So it's 2 plus 0 equals m. And hopefully we know that 2 plus 0, of course, equals 2. So when I put 0 in for m, put 0 in for n, I get 2 for m. Okay? And then lastly, I could do exactly the same thing with n equals 2. I take a 2 and put it in for n. If I do that, my equation says 2 plus 2.5 times 2 is just a 5. That's equal to m. 2 plus 5 equals m, which of course means m is 7, because 2 plus 5 makes 7. Okay, so I would have 3 m values along with my equation. So this is definitely part of my answer. The other part of my answer would be these guys. Okay? Basically 4 parts to that answer there. Now I'm not going to make you try plugging this in. We can practice that tomorrow. But I would like you to try to solve another equation here for a variable. So take this equation, negative 2x plus 5y equals 12. Try to get the y all by itself there, okay? So pause the video, try to get the y by itself in this equation, then come on back and I'll show you what we should have when the y is all by itself. Our answer should look like y equals something. Pause the video, take a look there, try to solve that. Okay. All right, when we add 2x on both sides to get rid of it, we end up with 12 plus 2x. Then we divide by 5. 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. And then ends up being a plus 2 divided by 5 is 0.2 with an x on it. Okay, that's what we get when we do that division, dividing everything by 5. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense, dividing the numbers by the 5 and so on. Okay. Now, the other thing we may have to do is try to solve an equation with no numbers but all letters instead. Okay, all letters, no numbers, and we're still asked to find a variable all by itself. Okay, so here's what we can do. If we look at this equation, negative t equals r plus p times x. You want me to solve this for x, meaning get x all by itself? So the first thing I have to decide is what's happening to x right now. Well, right now, this part right here says p times x. So x is being multiplied by p. Right? X is being multiplied by p. And then it is being added to r. Okay, added to r. Multiplied by p and added to r. I need to undo both of those things. So I'm going to rewrite the equation over here. And I need to undo both of those things. The first thing that I'm going to undo is the addition, because I'm going to do order of operations backwards. So I'm going to undo this adding r. This positive r right here, it's currently positive, so I'm going to get rid of it by subtracting r, and that'll cancel that out. Then on this side, I will have minus r as well. Okay? So now the left side of my equation says negative t take away r. And the other side of my equation now just says p times x. Right? P times x. Try to fix that p a little bit. P times x. Okay? Now, all I have left happening to my x is this multiplying by p. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this side by that letter p, so that it cancels out right there, and that's no longer present. And then I'm going to divide the other side by p as well. Now, because this is not numbers, I can't actually divide t by p or negative t by p or negative r by p. I can't actually do this dividing because they're not numbers. I'm not dividing by a number. So unfortunately, I have to leave my answer just like it looks right there. Negative t minus r on the top of a fraction, and just the letter p down on the bottom of that fraction. Okay, so this fraction here is equal to x. Because I got rid of the r by subtracting it, I got rid of the p by dividing it, and my dividing in this case just looks like a fraction bar because I can't actually do the dividing because it's not numbers. Okay? If you have questions about trying to get a variable by itself when there are other variables involved, any questions about anything I did here, please make a note to ask me in class tomorrow. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful night.